Welcome back to another video from BMW Mountain View Geniuses. Trying something a little bit different today, and it's featuring a used car. In this case, it's a 2017 i8, but not just any i8. It is the Protonic edition, frozen black. So obviously it's a 2017, certified pre-owned, so it's eligible for some of the programs that are currently going on right now with BMW. But other than the paint job and a few other details, which I'll show shortly, it's basically an i8. So 369 horsepower combined between the electric motor and the 3-cylinder turbo about the rear axle. So that's where the 3-cylinder engine is. I think it's perched a little bit in front of the rear axle, so technically making this a mid-engine sports car. And over the front axle is the electric motor. So combined about the same horsepower as the original M2. But let's look at the paint. So obviously frozen paint. Frozen black in particular. So it is a little bit dirty here since I don't have time nor the resources to get this properly cleaned for a quick photo shoot and video shoot for BMW's Mountain View. But frozen black, also with some frozen gray metallic in there as well, sort of highlights, so sort of get a little bit of contrast in the car, otherwise it'd be just basically blacked out. So 0 to 60 time, I've seen 4.2 and 4.4 seconds reported, which is actually fairly quick. So it is basically carbon fiber all around. And I forget the pounds, but I know it's 1,530 or so kilograms. So maybe about 3,000 pounds, maybe a little bit less. But on the interior, there's also some individual touches as well. So what you can see is some contrast stitching with the yellow piping here in the leather, as well as sort of a mesh cloth going on as well. And we got embossed i8 logos in the head restraints for both seats. And we got, of course, the badging on the door, so Protonic edition frozen black. I think there's also frozen red and frozen yellow and a few others as well. There's also ceramic controls, so the gear selector, iDrive controller are both ceramic and look really nice. There's the i8 logo. I don't know if you can see this in the lighting here, but i8 logo on the iDrive controller. Some more contrast stitching here. It does seat 4, although I don't know how comfortably it looks like the size of an M8, but you do have some, at least some bucket seats in the back. Might be a little bit more comfortable, but obviously not a lot of leg room. So I'm not going to do a Doug DeMuro and try and fit myself in here. But I can try getting myself in. I think getting in is rather elegant. Basically, you just slide in butt first and swing your legs in. Pretty easy to do. I'm going to do that with the slide in. And I'm in the cockpit. Now, obviously pretty cool are the, I guess they'd be called scissor doors. I think more appropriately probably a butterfly door. But either way, cool looking doors, cool looking car, even though this debuted as a 2015 model year and just recently went out of production, I think last summer. But still looks good. I think the only disappointment would probably be the technology involved. That is open. That is pretty old. So looking at the screen, the iDrive screen, it's sort of reminiscent of iDrive 4 or 4.5. That you'd find on cars of this vintage. So they did update it to include, say, iDrive 5 or even iDrive 6. I'm not sure about the 2018, 19, and 20 model years, but this is a 17, so this is pre-LCI. And let me just turn that off to get rid of the gong. All right, getting out, always a pain in the butt. But it is pre-LCI, like I mentioned. So this has about a 7 kilowatt hour battery. So that's good for, I think what BMW says is 16 miles of full electric range. That is, of course, under ideal conditions. So when I filled this up yesterday, I had an estimated range of about 11. So obviously your mileage is going to vary on that. But it drives really well. So one more thing about this is 19-inch wheels and a special design. They call W spoke. They look pretty good. Nice contrast. So I got that sort of a silver or gray wheel here that contrasts nicely with a frozen black. But I still think, even given its age, this car is simply gorgeous. It's got to be up there with one of the best looking cars BMW has ever made. So I'm thinking, 507. And I like the E38 8 series, E38 7 series, and the E31, and the current M8 Coupe and Grand Coupe. I just love these sort of, flying buttresses, if you will. They look really fantastic. I think one drawback is the trunk. So let me go pop that. So you'd think like this whole thing would lift up, but it's not. It's only this little glass section here. So you get a little bit down here. Oops. So you have to lift that. You have to lift this little partition here. You get a little access, so there's a small, very small trunk in the back here that fits basically nothing. I don't know what else you could fit up in here without sort of, running into the constraints of the glass or roof, or rear view window, I should say. That's it for storage space on this i8. So you think there's also a frunk, but that's actually not accessible by the consumer. Electric motor is under there. But man, this car is gorgeous. You got those little air vents going up for some downforce over the front end, reminiscent of a race car, really. So that's the i8 Protonic Edition Frozen Black. Just in a quick walk around. Would you have one at basically half off MSRP? Definitely something to consider.